Well, hello and welcome to the Tech Chit Chat Show. My name is Ken. You can find me on Northern Viking every day and Northern Viking Explorer on YouTube. I'm here with my co-host Stephen Loney on YouTube and 8-Bit Warrior on Twitter. Hello, Stephen. Good morning.
Good morning, Ken. How are you this morning?
I am doing great, thanks. How are you?
I'm also doing well. Yeah,
Good.
I got
Did you have
coffee
a good
in
long
hand.
weekend?
Good weekend, yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Coffee. Cheers.
Woo.
Join us for coffee and some tech talk today. Yeah. Long weekend. Did you do anything?
You know what? It was actually like a really good weekend of being away from the computer. I'm usually at the computer too much, and I had a weekend packed of wonderful family social events that just got me away, and it was actually refreshing. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're hoping to come down there soon and visit.
Yes.
We spent some time at the lake. I did some yard work.
Yeah, you can tell. So you guys may see that Ken has a much better tan than I do.
Your computer monitor is not giving you a tan.
No, you look like it looks like you're down in California somewhere while I'm like up in Edmonton or something.
I usually get tanned very easily, but I was also in the Caribbean, and then I got sunburned this weekend at the lake. And Stephen lives in the outskirts of Vancouver, British Columbia, and I live inland, close to Canada's only desert. So we don't get that much.
It shows.
Rain here. Yeah. So I got sunburnt at the lake on Sunday. So
yeah,
and I wasn't putting on like the coconut body butter for tanning or anything like that. I was just sitting out there chatting with family. So
who knew that the Northern Viking Swede could tan so well?
Yes. And then I'm trying to think. Oh, the last like 12 hours have been like fun. So last night, I'm like, my son knocks on the door and he's like, "Mom needs help with the washer. It's leaking everywhere." So I ran downstairs and the washer's leaking all over the floor. So I had to clean that up. It didn't do any damage, which was good.
Yeah.
And then, so then this morning, my wife is like, something wrong with the toilet. It's like bubbling and like splatting. The lid's closed and water is flying out of it from below. And I'm like, so the other day we looked at the toilet and before the weekend and there was water all over it as well. And we're like, what happened? Like, it's like someone dropped a cherry bomb in the toilet. And then we see like there's the city workers outside like sucking out the sewer pipes.
Oh.
So there's clearly like suction going on. So they must have finished this next street over before the weekend and started this morning because we thought our toilet was exploding. So yeah, that was
One
awesome.
of your kids didn't have the Jolly Roger cookbook?
No Jolly Roger cookbook. And yeah, we'll not go into the Jolly Roger cookbook. a fad of the 90s.
Yeah.
So yeah, other than the exploding toilet, it was an interesting 12 hours. So, but we are here. We're 20 minutes late. We usually start at 10. Today it was 10:20 because we knew there was a little bit of news coming maybe overnight, and so we wanted to chat about that this morning. So we are going to be chatting. We're going to start out with some new Ryzen 7000 series CPU talk. There's some new mild like Windows news we're going to talk about, some Nvidia news, and some other stuff. So that's what we're going to dive in today. Did you have any other things not to do with tech that you wanted to talk about before we get rolling? How's your renovation coming? Is it almost done?
It's 90% of the way there. And it's part of the reason why my background changed from our previous videos to now is partly due to that. Though I intend to keep this room anyway and spruce up a bit.
You're just going to take it over.
I'm just taking it over. I found this empty room, like I'll take that. So, our renovations are hoping soon to come to a close, and that will be nice. And other than that, I'm looking forward to the summer and some nice weather. And as much as we talk about tech, I look forward to actually getting out into outside in the near future and having a healthy balance of the two. So,
and for many of you that don't like know us or are new to us, Stephen and I are Stephen's my brother-in-law, and he's married. He's not married. I'm married to his sister. But for basically most of our like lives, we've actually just gone to coffee shops and stuff and chatted about tech and hung out at Best Buy a lot. So we decided that's why we're going to do the tech chit chat show, because we can actually sit together and talk about tech with our coffee.
Yeah. If you live in Canada, you may know that of a place called Tim Hortons, and more in the States now, around the world too. Commonly, we'd go to Tim Hortons, grab a double or a single coffee, and have a chat. And so we just brought it online.
So here's a question for you. We're not getting into our tech very quick here. Is it called a single, or is that just regular?
That would be a regular. You're right. But
is it a regular? Because if I go through the drive-through and I ask for a regular coffee, I'm scared I'm going to get a black coffee.
I know. That's the 50-50 thing, is some people, it's per barista of what it means. And so saying single is just the safest thing to do.
So she's saying we have a Timmy's ad going on right now. So yeah, I don't know. And here's another question: is it actually called a barista at Tim Hortons?
No, but I wanted to call them that because it sounds.
I call them a coffee connoisseur.
I thought a coffee connoisseur is the one who like drinks it.
Drinks it, yeah. That was totally.
I hope they're not drinking the coffee they're serving me.
Well, anyway, let's move on before we get into the straw debate. All right. No straw talk this week. Well, now we've started. AMD Ryzen 7000 CPUs. This was pretty cool. This is something coming down the pipeline for you all. Let me just open this up here. So I think this is still going on. Computech 2022. But some of the keynotes have happened already, if they're not all done. But Computech 2022 is, where is it? It's in,
I think Taipei, Taiwan.
Taipei. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So AMD has announced their Ryzen 7000 CPUs that will get, is it 5.5 gigahertz?
It seems to be so it seems the base clock would be like 5 gigahertz, I think, maybe, and able to turbo boost up to 5.5 gigahertz. So it seems that they were playing the game Ghostwire Tokyo at 5.5 gigahertz boost, which is quite high CPU clocks for AMD chipsets. Intel has already been kind of pushing that, but for AMD, that's kind of a bigger deal because they've always been kind of the sub 5 gigahertz. Like you have a 5800X, if I'm correct. Yeah. And I think yours turbos up to like 4.7 or something out of the box, something like that. So this is quite a bit of jump just out of the raw megahertz GPU, not GPU, gigahertz. It's quite a jump for boost. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. So it's got the Zen 4 architecture, if I'm not mistaken, and it's going to require a new socket as well. So a new motherboard will be coming out with this. So there's, let's see what we've got here. So the Zen 4 is supposed to be 15% faster in single thread performance than the Zen 3. And the wattage. Let me say the wattage and then. So wattage of these is supposed to be up to 170 watts as opposed to 142 previously.
So it's quite a bit of a power draw jump too. So it will generate a bit more heat under full load.
Sorry, you were going to say the Zen 4 chip? Were you going to say something there?
Yeah. So when it says that it's 15% faster, what I wanted to, like, I don't think that's them comparing. I'm hoping that's IPC, them saying like clock per clock, say that you had them both clocked to 4 gigahertz, a Zen 3 and Zen 4. Does that mean it's 15% faster clock per clock or 15% faster overall because of the boost and the gigahertz or whatever, the megahertz?
Yeah, that's a good question.
My impression is that it's like it's clock per clock, 15% faster. That would be cool. Because if that was true, it would be 15% faster clock for clock, and then the additional overhead could be like 10% faster because of the clocks. So it could end up being like 20-ish plus percent faster, which would be a nice boost.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. There was a couple other things I noticed on there. In this article, it talks about every CPU will have some sort of graphics integration in it.
Yes.
Which is kind of cool because my 5800X does not have graphics in it.
No.
But that being said, so I just actually sold my 1070 out of my old computer, and I'm gonna buy another graphics card for that. But it's still that's still running. I don't need a GPU in that computer. That's an older i7. I can't remember which one that is.
So it has like an Intel something 1000 HD or something.
Yeah, so I can still use the computer. I just can't really game on it or anything. So
no, which is nice. That's actually like just a nice thing to have. So with your other main rig, you can't do that. If you sell your GPU, you have to get another one.
Yeah,
which
although
you knew.
I knew that when buying it, and they did release the versions that do have the GPU or the graphics integrated in it. But
yeah,
so that was something I noticed, which was kind of nice. So they're saying all of that series should have it, the graphics card in it. PCIe 5.0 NVMe storage slots with the new motherboards. And what was it? There was something they were talking about, the 1 second game load times potentially that you might be able to get with the read
direct
speeds
storage.
for the competing with the Microsoft direct storage promises. So I don't know.
So I guess if you match that with the PCI 5 speed bandwidth of the controller with the direct storage, I guess that's what they're looking at.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so much faster for loading. That could be a huge, like, big change in just loading times, because we've gone from like PS4 loading times were pretty bad. First off, like not bad, I should say, but that was definitely a generation behind. I think you got a bit blurry there, sir, on your end.
Oh, you know what? My thing is, there we go. My square's on my face now. Somehow it was focusing on the background.
Yeah.
So, the other thing is, so the motherboards. So it looks like there's going to be X670, Extreme X670, and B650, and I saw this here. What was the chip or the pin, the socket? I missed it. Anyway, there is a new socket, so
yeah,
they're going to be using.
The nice thing, though, apparently, I don't know if it was from this mentioned or another Yahoo Finance article. Can't remember if it was this one or that one. Mentioned how it will be using the same, even though it's a new socket, they've designed it to support the previous motherboard's coolers, heat sinks.
Yes.
So if you have an older system, you can bring that over. You don't have to buy a new heatsink.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
No, that's definitely nice for sure. Yeah. I can't remember. It might be in the other article we have. I can take a look here. So we've got this other article from Yahoo as well. And yes, here it is. The AM5 motherboard, 1718 pin LGA socket, and it still will support the AM4 cooler. So
yeah, nice.
So I know Yoshi brought up this point. He can't wait for the Ryzen, but he's hoping for the prices. So that's one thing I did want to mention. We haven't seen any pricing on these yet. So I'm not sure when that'll be happening. The release date, did they say the fall, Steven, sometime? They didn't give an exact release date, I don't think.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. I don't know.
I thought I saw the fall. Launch. Yes, this fall. So there was no release date specifically on those.
What I'm curious about here with this is, you mentioned how they are planning to have most, if not all, the chips to have some kind of video GPU kind of support built in. So I'm curious to see what kind of performance gains AMD gets with DDR5 being the RAM for these motherboards, because with the integrated GPU APUs draw from, they don't have their own dedicated memory, they have to use the system memory.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm curious to see what kind of like difference it makes. And I feel like AMD may do a good job with that, of tying it, like how much, because that's where there can be a bottleneck with integrated graphics cards. If your system memory is slow, it can choke, the bandwidth can choke your GPU. It can choke your performance if you have slow memory. Where usually like dedicated GPUs have like really super fast dedicated memory on the system to just make things run really quick. So I'm just curious to see how DDR5 performs and how much uplift that actually helps.
Yeah, no, for sure. And as DDR5, this is really the first steps of DDR5 becoming more prevalent in an everyday computer system. So so it'll be definitely interesting to see as this comes down the road. Now, before we move on, did you have any other thoughts on this at all, or?
There's talk of the number of 24 channels. It seems like a jump up, and I'm just curious to know, like, and maybe we'll bring that up near the end of the video, part of the question of the day. But I know you with a 5800X, what do you consider of this? Like, is it something enough to upgrade to? Like, what are your kind of thoughts on that?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, because it's not enough to upgrade to at this point for me, just because I built a PC this year. And I do want to do another PC build, but I think I'm going to do an Intel build next time, because I did not because I really like one over the other. It's just I would like to do an Intel build. And I think for myself, I'm in a little bit of because I work in tech, it's something that like most people don't have the opportunity to maybe work with as much tech as I do. So it's hard for the average user. It's kind of a little bit different that way, I would say. But it does intrigue me. It would definitely intrigue me maybe next year when it's been out for a little bit and the prices aren't at the very, very top. Once you start to see some different, I don't know how you want to say it, different variations of models of motherboards and things coming out that are a little bit more cost effective, maybe then I would jump into it.
I'm wondering too if it will play more of a factor for you. If you're looking into an Intel, it could cause Intel to be more competitive on their side, so it might influence it more that direction when you're looking at Intel parts. How will it bring down pricing or stuff like that?
So we'll see what happens there. I'm not looking to build another computer probably until the fall, so we'll see. Hopefully that happens. All right, why don't we jump over to just a quick Windows 11 widget note. So are you running Windows 11 yet, Stephen? No. You haven't done
none of my computers support it. My stuff's too dated.
There's ways around that.
Yeah, but I like Windows 10. I haven't found a need to go to Windows 11 yet. It's not important to me at the moment.
I have become a Windows 11 fan. I really enjoy using Windows 11. To the point when I go back to my Windows 10 PC, I'm like, as it just, I don't know. And it's such small things, but now I'm used to it, I guess. And I go back to Windows 10 and I'm always going to the wrong spot and different things like that. So for me, it runs smooth. I haven't had any problems. Sorry, I'm just laughing at Yoshi here. Windows 10 crew rise up. Yes.
Well, we have till like 2024, 2025 until they stop like security support for Windows 10. So I'm kind of good.
Yeah, and you know what? I really like it. I know this is a little off topic. I like here, let me turn off my thing here. I really like the stuff in the middle.
Oh no, they
At
won
the
you
bottom.
over.
Yeah, even though I made a video on how to move it over to the left-hand side. So all of you watching. Yeah,
So what
I really
widgets?
like
Can you
this
show
stuff.
what widgets you have going on? What widgets do you have on your Windows 11?
How do I even get to widgets? Are these the widgets?
I guess so. I think so.
So I honestly don't use them.
Yeah.
I use widgets on my phone. So I guess the difference. So here's what's happening. So Microsoft. Let's come back to that in a second, Stephen. So we'll talk about this article. Microsoft will support third-party Windows 11 widgets later this year. So third-party widgets are coming, which is going to open up a whole new world of widgets that aren't just made by Microsoft. But I've also believe that they're looking to have the desktops have them as desktop widgets. So rather than having to come down here to your little whatever you'd call it, your weather
sunshine button down there.
I don't even know what that's called. To get into your widgets, most of mine are just news articles. It looks like. But there
was it Windows 7 that had desktop widgets?
Was that the tiles all over the screen that nobody knew how to use that Windows version?
You could. I'm trying to remember what they looked almost like late 90s, early 2000s style. I'm trying to, because that was the thing. And then they got rid of them, and now they're
it was all those tiles. I remember the first time I turned on that computer, my dad bought one, and I couldn't figure out how to turn the computer off.
Oh, that was Windows 8. That was
Windows 8. Okay, yeah. And then they revamped it and it was easier, but it was like you'd think someone, I don't know, I use computers all the time, would be able to figure out how to turn it off.
Yeah, Windows 8.1 fixed that. I remember Cody, who often catches. Cody, if you're out there, hello. His grandfather would said to his family, I just want the green hill back with the tree, because he had a computer. He said, I just want the green hill back with the tree. Like, he just wanted that familiar. So that was his way of explaining that he wanted the old system back, and he was confused because I think he was put onto a Windows 8 laptop or something. And especially to seniors and stuff. Hello, Cody.
Hello.
Yeah, so it was Cody's grandfather who struggled from going to Windows 8. He was using Windows, I think, 7 fine. Windows 8 came out and it just confused people, especially for seniors who are already struggling to know what to do. It was not a good curveball for them, and they struggled. So
yeah, I'm trying to think. We volunteer at church, and one of the computers we've used recently had, I think, Windows 8 on it, and I'm like, I think it broke now, so not from me, but I'm like, how does anyone use this thing? But Yoshi's wondering, are you going to start making widgets for?
Well, so one thing that I'm concerned about widgets is, I think there's room. So I'm a game developer, and with that in mind, I think there's room for someone to make a, what's it called? Not a passive aggressive game. What's my mind thinking?
Like a desktop time waster.
Yeah, like a game that keeps playing while you're not playing. And you like
what's the one with the one by Hyper Hippo, the millionaire
Venture
one.
Capitalist?
Yeah.
So yeah, imagine there's a widget and you're playing the idle game.
I wanted to say Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but that's why I said millionaire, but it's Adventure Capitalist.
Idle clicker. Yeah, thanks, Yoshi.
Oh, idle clicker. Okay.
Yeah, like I think there may be room for like idle clicker games. Like, it's a game like that's like in the corner, and you can just periodically like click on it, and it's just this widget, but it's a game, and it's a very low requirement for involvement.
You could have a game like Scrabble up there that every time you log on, it's just up in the corner that you could play with other people.
Yeah, I think there's room for that, or like Tamagotchi kind of things.
Sudoku.
a little passive, maybe. But I mean, like even like little passive, like little creature, like a Bonzi buddy. Remember Bonzi buddy?
No.
Good.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
I still don't know if he was like actually like spyware or not. But like little Bonzi buddy, like a little creature you feed him and then he.
Oh,
like,
okay. Like a Tamagotchi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could have Wordle up there. Have you?
Yeah,
played
I just
Wordle?
think there. What's that?
Have you played Wordle?
No, I'm kind of trying not to play it.
Anti-Wordle. I played it for a few weeks.
Yeah. Yoshi says the idle clicker eating up all the CPU cycles, calculating maths. Yeah, well, that's where you design it to be efficient. Cody says Bonzi Buddy was spyware. Thanks, Cody. Cody knows what Bonzi Buddy was. It was an interesting time on the internet. I'm curious. I think opening it up to third party is great. I think there's people out there who find ways to make use of these things in very creative ways that Microsoft just wouldn't consider. And I think it's better to open it up and to see what people do with it. And
oh, sorry, we forgot to do the sushi coin.
Sushi report.
Sushi report. Sorry, this is so off topic. You keep talking there, Stephen. Let me see what the sushi is.
Yeah, so I think if this opens up, I think this is great because I think Microsoft having a lockdown, having news widgets and weather widgets is kind of boring. It's fine, but I think letting us have like audio widgets, bring back like the late '90s, early 2000s, like audio, like visual stuff going on. I mean, I want to go back to some of that early 2000s like graphical style. I want to be able to have like a themed out desktop that looks like an early 2000s PC.
Yeah.
And for fun, for nostalgia, I want my desktop to be fun. And if people can add these widgets, I could see someone like from LGR's channel, like they're doing a whole video on like making your PC look like a retro, like 2000s PC.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think opening it up to a whole new world would be awesome of just not what Microsoft is feeding you. So, okay, sushi report. We're going to do this halfway through. It is currently at $2.07 Canadian for sushi. And my total return is negative 81.98%. So,
but is it up
81.99%? What's that?
Is it up from last week?
Let me look here. 1 week. It is up from last week. Yes.
Yeah.
It is up. About a week ago, it was like $1.65 or something at its low point.
So if I invested last week $100,000, I would have made like $25,000.
Yeah.
Sushi report. Don't buy sushi coin, guys. Please, this is not financial advice.
No. We're laughing about how much I've lost. My whole $4 that I've lost.
Yep. Poor guy.
Dartboard. All right. Are we done with? I don't even know if we talked about this article.
Yeah, we talked enough about that. Let's go on.
Okay. I'm like, we'll move on. All right. Where are we here? We were going to talk about Nvidia. Nvidia turns to water cooling. I almost fell asleep reading this article.
Sorry, what is liquid cooling?
Well, that's interesting.
So, for clarity, that's liquid cooling, not liquid ooling. That is not a new.
There we go. That's funny. Nvidia turns to liquid cooling, and this is about the most boring article I've ever read in my life. Not any offense to Mitchell Clark, who wrote the article. I think just the content of it was boring. Now all of our watchers went from like a whole bunch down to one. As I brought this up.
No, we were discussing beforehand. We were waiting. I was kind of waiting on the keynote from Nvidia to see what they're going to do. I had a feeling it was going to be data center oriented, and it ended up being data center oriented. So this wasn't surprising. It's not super interesting for like the gamer side of things. But they seem to be focusing on lowering power consumption for data centers. And just so this is where this comes in to just make things run cooler and better.
30% lower energy consumption.
Yeah. So which is significant for data centers. If you're running a data center, that's significant. And apparently it also uses
basically
less
the news is that during Computech they announced or introduced a liquid cooled version of its A100 compute card.
Okay.
That consumes 30% less power than its air cooled version, just for reference.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think I cut you off there.
No, that's good. That's cool. Apparently I think it also uses less space because of it, so you can fit more stuff. It's just better. But on the gaming side of things, it might be this article that mentions that still, nonetheless, things seem to trickle down from the high-end professional data center stuff. Still seems to trickle down to mainstream consumer.
At the end of the article, I believe it talks about how what they do in the right here, like stuff that oh no, that's not it. But what comes out for servers initially, eventually comes down to consumer products.
And I know there's already water cooled stuff out there you can get, but it just might make it more of a mainstream thing. More cards might make it normal in the future. I'm personally not a fan of liquid cooling. I'm more of a fan of just fans because I'm never sure, like, if I'm having cooling issues, like is the liquid evaporated? Is it going, like, how do I know that it's functional? I don't want to have to open it up. I don't know. But
so do you have any, like, I know this isn't probably not anything to worry about, but do you ever have fear like water and electronics or liquid and electronics should not mix?
Yeah.
And yet so much of stuff is water cooled or liquid cooled now. So I keep saying water cooled, but I don't even know, is stuff even water cooled? It's probably all liquid, some kind of jelly.
Yeah, what is it? Is it coffee? Maybe it's coffee.
Coffee cooled.
Coffee cooled GPUs.
If you had a GPU and it was marketed that it's full of coffee and it actually worked,
I want it.
How many people would buy that? I would buy
it. with Arabia beans.
Yes.
Volcano grown Arabia beans.
Volcano grown. You know, I was in Guatemala and I saw a lot of coffee plantations there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. They got good coffee from Guatemala. We get coffee from there. It's great.
What was that one was it Call of Duty or Battlefield where you were going through the coffee plantations? No. There was like a hillside. Maybe it was something else. Maybe it wasn't.
It's been years since I played them.
I think it was like Vietnam.
Oh, yeah. That was PS3. It was the Vietnam expansion. That was Battlefield, Bad Company 2, Vietnam expansion.
Was that a coffee field or was that something else growing on?
Oh, that was a rice field, I think.
Oh, rice. Okay. Well,
it was the terraced.
Yes, down, like, you have to go down the terraces.
Yeah. Cotton field, rice field. What's the difference?
Coffee field.
They don't look the same, but anyway.
And I just told you I saw a whole bunch of coffee fields in Guatemala. They could have been rice for all I know now. Oh man, we have fun here. That's why we come together and drink coffee.
Yes. Coffee cooled.
All right, we have two more things we're going to talk about. Well, we're like, should we talk about them or shouldn't we?
Let's finish off with the Elgato Stream Deck.
No, well, let's just talk about them all because I don't want to. I don't want to go.
You don't want to go?
No. Even though everybody else watching has gone.
What's next?
Take-Two has acquired. The only reason I want to do this is because I don't know how to say that name. Zynga. Is it Zynga?
Is it Zynga or Zynga? Zynga? I think Zynga.
I always want to say Zynga, but I think it's Zynga. Zynga. Well, I actually listened to the article, and I think they said Zynga. but that doesn't mean that
They're right.
digital voice is correct, because I live in the Okanagan and the GPS says Okanagan.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, Take-Two has officially, their purchase of Zynga has been completed. So what kind of makes this interesting? So Take-Two, they own some of the big names: Grand Theft Auto, BioShock, Civilization. I haven't actually played many of the Take-Two games. The 2K Sports, I believe, was part of theirs.
Right.
I played some Civilization and maybe some of the Take-Two Sports.
Yeah.
What kind of makes this interesting is Zynga is more
Zynga.
Zynga, whatever. I get someone to type out what it is, but how do you type out? Oh, yeah, I'm guilting you into staying. Thank you. Yes. You better not leave. Otherwise, I'm talking to myself. As Steven gets up and walks out of the stream.
Yeah.
And I just have to
make me stay.
Oh man. Anyway, whatever this is called. The interesting part is that Zynga owns like Farmville and a lot of the phone games.
The
Zanga.
casual.
Yoshi says Zanga.
Really?
Anyway, I don't know if he's
Zonga?
joking or not.
Yeah.
Zanga? I don't know. But trying to get into more of the mobile games. And in this article, it talks about, I think it was this article, how much value there is in the mobile games, which is kind of interesting. So Activision, they're saying, surpassed 1.5 billion in lifetime revenue according to Sensor Tower, and that's like Call of Duty Mobile, and PUBG Mobile has surpassed an eye-popping 7 billion in lifetime revenue. So this acquisition of Zynga was $12.7 billion deal to buy them. So there's definitely some value there for sure.
12.7 billion.
12.7 billion.
And was it last week or 2 weeks ago we talked about how who was it sold Square Enix sold their Western studios for 300 million or something?
Yeah. So what was the other one? Microsoft. Did they buy? Was it Activision? I don't know. Now I'm getting all my. There's been so many acquisitions lately. Is it in here? Anyway, all these acquisitions lately. I can't even remember them all. So
when I think of Take-Two, when I see this article, I'm just like, I still associate Take-Two with the game Driver back on the PS1. And that's my association with Take-Two, is playing Driver back on the PS1. And that series, I think, died since like years and years ago.
Yeah.
So when I look at that, I'm like, wait, Take-Two bought Rockstar? And all these, I didn't realize that all these companies were a part of Take-Two, and I had lost track of who owned what. But I just think of Driver back in the day, and that's my main association with that company. Beyond that, I don't think I even play the games that are listed on there. Google calls it Zynga. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sticking with us, Yoshi. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Yoshi's our fact checker.
He's our fact checker.
And so is Cody. Cody, once in a while, he'll correct me when I tried to say cornucopia a while back, and I called it something else. Capricorn.
Was that the thing on your shirt?
Yeah, I had the shirt with the cornucopia on it from Ralph's Farm Market, and I called it a Capricorn. And so Cody fact checked me that day for calling it the wrong thing. English. So.
One thing you'll realize if you watch us long enough, most of the stuff we say is wrong. Oh, no, I'm joking when I say that, but like maybe we don't know as much as we think we know, and we. I'm totally joking. We
That's
don't.
all right.
Yeah. Anyway, well, that's why we're just sitting here drinking coffee, and
As long as people watching us know what they're talking about.
yeah, well, we just need our fact checkers to correct us.
Yep.
So. All of this was fake news. No, none of it is fake news. Just our facts we're not sure about. I think our facts are pretty good. All right. So we do have one other cool thing we wanted to chat about.
Yeah.
I thought this was kind of cool. So Corsair has released their first laptop.
Right.
And
What makes it different?
What makes it different? Well, let's bring this up. So there's a couple cool things in it. It has an integrated Elgato Stream Deck, which I thought was pretty cool. And all the guts inside it are AMD. But I think the Stream Deck part makes it more quite interesting to me. So
Yeah.
If you're not sure what a Stream Deck is, I'm actually thinking of getting one. I don't know if they actually call it Stream Deck in there, but it does run with the Stream Deck software.
Right.
So what it is, it's a bunch of push buttons on there that do tasks for you. So for example, I don't have one, but I could push a button and it would change our, like what it says at the bottom of our screen during our live stream. It would change our views from like what you're seeing now to both of us like this. So it's, you can preset these. You can even do it in the software that we're using. So each of those buttons is a preset for streaming. So if you're into doing streaming or podcasts or anything like that, where like we're doing this as a podcast, you can have a whole bunch of presets in there. And I believe they're customizable for the logos and different things as well. On the regular Stream Deck, they are anyway. I'm not sure about on the laptop, but very functional for like an editor or a live streamer.
Yeah.
And so this is the Corsair Voyager 1600, or is it the A1600 laptop? It is a 5.3 pound laptop, and some of the cool stuff though, it's got a pretty decent graphics card in it. So an RX 6800M GPU, and a Ryzen 9 6900 HS.
So this is no slouch. This is quite the
yeah. No, I did a quick search on the 6800M, and from what I could see on the Googles was that it's somewhere between a 3070 and a 3080 equivalent.
Oh wow, yeah.
So
that's beefy for a laptop.
Yes. So if you're into editing, into gaming, into streaming, this is the one that's a pretty good one for you. Either 32 or 64 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. So not DDR4, but DDR5.
Wow. Okay.
And 1 and 2 terabyte SSD options and 99 watt hours. So pretty powerful setup for sure. And then the price tag, $2,700 and $3,000. I'm assuming that would be US dollars. So
quite, you're paying what you get for. But if you're looking for an editing rig, a live streaming rig, gaming, all that in one, this looks good. But I'm looking at this, like I like this idea, and I think this is cool for people into that, having dedicated buttons for Elgato. If you're using the Elgato Stream Deck system, this looks great. But it's like at the end of the day, it is like, what would stop you just from like you have your function keys at the top. We have another row of like F1, F2 keys, another S1, S2.
Yeah. And is this going to be something like that you start to see on regular keyboards now? Like, when's Elgato going to come out with a keyboard with a Stream Deck built in?
But what would have stopped us from just using like our own macros, like Control Shift F1, F2, F3, F4, and then it creates them into S1, S2? What's the difference?
Because nobody will know what they are. and remember.
Like I know it's convenient, but in the future we have another row of function keys.
No, for sure, it's awesome.
And this is and this is what function keys I think were supposed to be originally.
Yeah.
And but now because function keys are so integrated into the OS, they're duplicating now other functions. So now we have another need for another row. So I think this is cool.
Yeah.
It seems similar to what Apple was trying to do with their stuff with the whatever they called it, bar that you could touch stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I think this is cool, and I'm glad that they have the specs to match this. That they're actually going all in. It seems good, and I like it as much as it's kind of like, do you really have to have it? No, but it would interest me if I was in the market for this. I think it would be interesting.
Yeah, so. No, I think it's pretty cool. I think if you're looking for something for definitely for a creator, it's definitely one to consider for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we do have a question of the day. Should we dive into the question of the day? And yes. I'd love to hear any other comments as well as people come up with them or questions. I think I already answered this, but what are you running, AMD or Intel? And then I think you had a secondary question, but if you can remember it. You forgot. You're like a deer in the headlights.
I think it was if the I think it was, we kind of touched on it earlier, was if the 7000 series of AMD Ryzen is enough for people up there to upgrade. Is this a worthwhile step?
Gotcha.
Or are they, if you're on the old previous generation of AMD stuff, are you content to stay there? Especially since you can upgrade all the way to the 5000 series with pretty much all the motherboards, most of them.
Yeah.
So Yoshi mentions he's mostly been using AMD. So if you're on AMD, if you have that previous generation, especially what they did, the 5950X, I think it was, with the high cache, and for gamers, that was a really good option. So,
Cody, if you're still there, what are you using?
So I believe Cody can pipe in if he is there. I believe he is on a 2nd gen Ryzen chipset.
Okay.
I think he has the 20. Yeah, he's on AMD. But Cody, you can pipe in. I believe you're looking to build an Intel system in the future, though. So you're kind of looking to play both sides. Ken, you're in the same boat. You're kind of trying to play both sides.
Yeah, I don't have a loyalty to one of them.
Yeah.
I'm interested in both of them.
Yeah.
It's not like, to me, like the Android Apple debate that's out there. Like, this is I mean, yeah, anyway, I like them both. I think there's different pros and cons to each of them, so for sure. So again, I'm running a Ryzen right now, and then I've got an Intel, and I'll probably do an Intel build next time. So just kind of back and forth for myself.
My laptop here is Intel. My main desktop editing rig, gaming rig is Intel from like 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything new. And I do have an AMD Linux machine that's running an AMD FX 4130. Also from like 2011, but it works for a Linux build. So
so I'm just thinking, my one son has Intel and my other son has AMD.
Right.
So
right. So you're a mixed family.
Mixed family. I have to ask our audience every once in a while, like Yoshi and Cody especially, just to check if they're still there. So, because they're not allowed to leave.
See if they're still breathing. Check the pulse.
Yeah. So, did you disown us and leave? Now they're scared.
Well, maybe they already did, but they're just here.
We might call on them. Hey, so there's some pretty interesting news, and if anyone can find this, we'd like them to send us a link to it. Apparently, we are. Yoshi's dead. Apparently, is this his killer typing it? So apparently, we're streaming on Spotify as video streaming. Or sorry,
Apparently.
when we upload our podcast now, apparently we can upload it in video format, which we did last week for the first time. But we're not sure where to find that video. So if anyone finds the video of us on Spotify or knows how to watch that, we'd love to hear about it.
If you're watching us on Spotify, please contact us. Let us know how you found us.
Yeah. So apparently it's a new thing.
Yeah.
So if you're watching us, not listening, but watching, well, you can listen to us. I was amazed. We're even on Apple podcasts in Asia somewhere, and Apple here, Spotify, Anchor, Google.
Well,
I know some of our listeners use us to fall asleep. Apparently.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do. Apparently, Yoshi is sending people over. He's a reference. Hello there, AC88.
Hey.
Welcome to the chat.
Howdy.
Working and lurking.
Thank you for joining us. We like to bring you into the conversation and working and lurking. Were you Yoshi's killer? I'm totally kidding. We know you're not.
Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully
that makes sense because because of this comment, so you all understand.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
no, and what before we forget and finish up, what happens when we reach 100 subscribers? What are we looking to do, Ken?
What are we looking to do? We are looking to upgrade this fancy high-tech video graphics that you see from 720p to 1080p streaming.
Wow.
They're
amazing.
Gouging us for more money, but we're willing to put it into a previews all of you people. 4K.
We can't afford 4K, Yoshi.
We can't afford 4K. To 1080p streaming, they're gonna snag all our money. So we'd like to do that when we hit 100 subscribers. We are at a lowly 54 right now. So
yeah,
on here.
Yeah, and also let us know, guys, if there's any. Feel free to leave comments on things you'd like us to discuss, and we've been experimenting with the format and this and that, and our goal is to have just casual chat over coffee, over tech, and to bring kind of much of what we've done in the past, even in person with Cody, who watches. Cody has joined us sometimes at Tim's, and we'll talk over chat. And we want to be just have you guys involved, join the conversation. Mm-hmm. We're not professionals at technology. We know it here and there, but we're just like you. Yep. We know some.
Thank you, AC. We appreciate that.
Yeah. Welcome aboard, AC. Good to have you here.
So, and for you, AC, we usually try to stream on Tuesdays at 10 o'clock. Today was a little later at 10:20. But around this time usually. And So any other final thoughts there, Mr. Steve-O?
Final thoughts of the day. Well, I am looking forward to, looks like a busy week ahead, which is good. A side note, I'll just say Cody and I we've been also shout out to Yoshi. He'll be doing some, hope it's okay I mention that Yoshi. Yoshi might be doing some audio work for Cody and I for some game stuff, but we've just put up our first listing on Steam for one of our games. I won't market it here, but it's been good doing some stuff, getting anyways, I don't know where I'm going with that, but I'm looking forward to this week. Tons of stuff on my end going on. And I'm awesome. Happy about that. Ken, yourself before you.
Why don't we've got a couple comment things coming in here. Do you want to just keep chatting for a little bit?
Sure.
And we don't have to leave. So if Northern Viking had to design a new Apple Pen, what would he change? Well, that's a good question because I didn't really, that Apple Pen that was my daughter, so I don't really use it. What would I change? I would probably change the color.
Wow, so technical.
I honestly really liked how it felt. I actually felt like it was, I don't know, that's like asking me what would you change about the pen. Well, so I'm a bit of a pen snob. So I hold this pen up and it's got 4 different colors on it. So maybe I would have something that you push that can go through. I know you can do that, but something more dedicated.
More dedicated.
Yeah,
Oh,
because on the pen you can tap on the side to change things, but maybe more dedicated buttons that you could set up
yeah,
would
like
be one thing.
kind of like the Steam Deck.
Yeah, kind of like the Steam Deck of a
Macro
pen.
buttons for.
Yeah.
By the way, I found a really handy use for the multicolored pen like you have there, because I have one
Yeah.
here too. And I found when doing like programming for like same pen, I found if I write my color RGB 58 68 102, that's an RGB color.
Yeah.
And so I know in my notes that's an RGB color for my programming. Is that excessive? Is that unneeded for the coders out there?
I've started highlighting things in different colors for different meanings.
Yeah. So there's times that's actually, these are not useless. These are actually really neat. So you're right. If you had a dedicated button on the pen for colors, that would be a really quick, cool thing.
Yeah. So on the Samsung Galaxy Note, the pen or stylus in that had like, you can do like things in the air to make it do stuff. So I don't have that anymore. I just gave that phone to my wife.
Yeah.
So I bought another Note, but this one doesn't have the pen, or not a Note. This is the S20 Ultra.
Okay.
5G. Although my network doesn't have 5G right now, so I'm not sure what's going on there.
I'm just in AC's comment. AC88 there. He says
about the PC build.
Yeah, ever build a PC from Craigslist? That kind of video always is fun. Having a competition of best for lowest price will be fun. So AC, my actual main rig right now is a Craigslist build. I have a i7 3930K. So it's a 6-core 12-thread CPU from like 2011. So it's actually old, but it still holds up well. I got that off Craigslist with RAM, so that's 32 gigs of RAM. The GPU is off Craigslist. Pretty much of it. So that's actually what I'm running right now. And it's actually holding pretty good.
Yeah.
Ken, you've done some Craigslist.
So I've been talking about a couple of my PCs. The Windows 10 PC, the Intel build is from Craigslist as well. I was actually at your house when I bought that. Yeah. I feel like that's a i7. Is it 40s? I think I said 5000 series before, but it's like a 40 something K.
4790?
47 something like that.
Something like
and I bought that one off Craigslist as well. And then I sold the GPU I bought with that, and then bought a 1070, and I just sold that 1070 on Facebook Marketplace, but the same thing, whether it's Craigslist or whatever. So now I'm looking to replace that. I will probably I'm looking to buy a 3050 for that, because I would like to do some videos on it. So I'm just trying to decide which one I'm going to buy.
Building those PCs, I've watched some of these other channels doing like budget PCs, and some of them do a good job. But some of the higher tech companies, higher tech channels, I think are too out of touch with these low spec machines, because they're like, oh, we're getting like a low end 2060. This is like low end. I'm like, no, that's not low end. Like when we're doing like Craigslist like spec builds, it's like, no, we're finding 2nd gen, 3rd gen, 4th gen Intel chips. We're finding like DDR3 chips, maybe DDR4. And I just feel like some of the tech companies are out of touch with what people are actually getting on Craigslist deals.
Yeah.
And because we're actually gaming on the top GPU on Steam's survey is still the 1060.
Yeah.
That's still the main card. So,
I think I only paid for mine, and I was able to game on it Craigslist. I think it was like $400.
For what? The PC?
That PC I bought on Craigslist.
Yeah. And it still games. It's still
games. Yeah. And you're giving me some good ideas. Like I want to do actually a video on taking everything out of that and putting it into a new case. I think there's a lot of people who maybe have an older PC that works fine, but they just like it to be a little maybe flashier, or their fans are squeaking, and My son just went through that. His fans were all squeaking, and it was basically cheaper to buy a new case with fans than to go replace all his fans.
Well, one of the things too is like if somebody has a PC and they find off of Craigslist and it's like has 4 gigs of RAM, if you just even bump it to 8 at the least, and you get like a decent GPU in there, all of a sudden it becomes a gaming machine. Just like what are the min specs? Put in an SSD, get your RAM at least to 8. Get a spec. Can't say. So AC saying can't say I've got much for my PC. Still running it in GTX 970. Plays on ultimate settings. You know what? The GTX 970 is actually a good card. That's what I was running as well. And I actually sold that card to Ken, your son, and he was using. Is he still using it?
Is that the one he recently got?
Yes. I sold the 970 to your son. I think he's still using it.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. The 970 is actually still 1080p gaming. Yeah. Still good. So
yeah.
I went from the 970 to the 1070, and I don't really have much of a need to upgrade even from that most of the time. So
yeah.
No.
Yeah. So
yeah, and that's where on the used market Craigslist, the 970s are good deals. If you find a 1060 or a 970 or a 980, they're still good. So.
Yeah, no, there's definitely some cool stuff out there if you keep your eyes peeled. I know in my area, we're in a small, I don't want to say a small town, but maybe 130,000 people in this area. So there's not quite as much on Craigslist as there is where you are in the Vancouver area. So I usually keep my eye on Craigslist when I'm visiting you guys, but so. All right, shall we wind it down there, Stephen?
Yeah, sounds good.
Just we appreciate you all joining us today. Remember to like and subscribe here on YouTube. We are on Twitch. We are on Facebook. We are on
apparently Spotify.
Spotify, if you find us. And thank you, AC, for subscribing to us. We appreciate it. Until next week, thank you so much, and bye-bye.